Um, Wonderful. I mean, I'm looking at myself and I'm wondering who is Peace introducing? But thank God. Thank God. Um, Thank you all for being here today. Honestly, this has been a journey for me. And like Peace said, I didn't really understand the importance of why we're here today. And but now I do. For me, it was just the future of work. It was just about helping children to understand. But between yesterday and today, I think I have seen the big picture. We all look at what is going on in Nigeria and in the world, and we think of it as, oh, it's a bad thing. COVID has come. But while COVID is bad because of all the death and everything and the sickness that is brought, COVID has also brought with it change. A young girl that I taught many years ago said to me that if anybody comes out of COVID the way they went into COVID, that person can never be helped, because there's so much learning to be learned in this time. There's so much unlearning and relearning. And really and truly, that is the power of the move of God at this time. He's asking us to reset. He's asking us to leave the old way of thinking and come into his new way. And he said to me that, you know, this is about developing the next generation of Nigerians. My generation, sadly, we didn't do a good job. We had a great education in a public school system, and then we got into the private sector, and then we lost it for our children. We dropped the ball, believing that the private sector was the future. And now we wake up in the world today, we find that Nigeria has deteriorated from the country that I was brought up in. And the only way we can change it is for people like myself to stand up and try to change the narrative by empowering youth, because they are the change makers. They're the ones that God has given the solution to Nigeria, to Africa. We have to lift these children up. And this is my way of starting it, by helping them to understand that they are the future, and that the future for them is a future where they can be anything they want to be if they can dream it. When I took the Brain Squad team to America, one of the things they did was they showed us a movie called Dream Big. And it is on YouTube, Dream Big. It's about 20 minutes long. And I watched that movie, and that was the point that I got what this whole future of work is about. The scene that really got me was where a group of young children were playing with Lego, and the camera zoomed out from that picture, and the next, when it came back in, it was a spaceship, the satellite station up there in space. And all of a sudden, I saw it, that from playing Lego, children can actually begin to dream and walk their way to the future that God has gifted them to be. And so I understand why the Finnish government says play is at the center. I understand why engagement and collaboration has come to be the language of the youth. And so as an educator, my job here is just to help the youth come together, develop a community where they can talk, inspire. And I have, you know, used this vehicle to bring trailblazers, people that I really think are doing amazing things in their industries today. Most important is that it's not the road that parents would gladly send their children on, but it's a road that have taken these people to the top in a very short time. Now remember, there was a time in Nigeria where you couldn't play football because parents thought that it wasn't right. But anybody who has a child that can play football today is thinking of how they can get that child into the Premier League. And so for parents, there is a shift. We need to understand the shift, and we need to get our children aligned to this shift. Today, I hope we will lay the foundation. I hope that parents and educators will understand. And so once again, I thank you for coming, and I pray that the next couple of minutes that you spend with us will be a fruitful time, and we will all go away with a different mindset. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your being here.
Thank you so much for that brilliant introduction, Mrs. Oni. And thank you so much for doing this. I think that this is an amazing, amazing initiative. Okay, so we're going to go right into it now. I'm going to start introducing the speakers. And I would start with one of them. I won't tell you yet. Host, please, can you allow me share my screen? I want to share a video for one of the speakers, if you don't mind. Just a minute. Awesome. One more, please.
With Lacasera, win the 10,000 Naira airtime instantly when you buy a bottle of Lacasera. To enter, buy a bottle of Lacasera. Send the code under the crown via SMS to 20055 or via WhatsApp to 0903 450 9330. Enter at least 10 times a month to qualify for the monthly draw to win fantastic prizes. Promo runs from October 1st. See posters for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Lacasera, I love this drink.
Awesome. So the person I'm about to call right now is the creator of those two amazing animation videos I just showed you. His name is Kanso Ogbolu. Kanso is an illustrator, an animator, and he's also the digital creative genius who has worked with loads of brands, like the ones you see just now on the screen. He has specialty in motion design, film animation, and motion graphics. He is a powerhouse of talent. He is a digital executive in the advertising industry. He contributed to the growth and success of various brands in the digital space. He currently runs his own studio, OBK Studios, where he serves as the creative director. Kanso's work has earned him numerous recognition, such as appearing in the prestigious Archive Magazine Award, winning the grand prize in multi-choice at 20 Logo Design Competition in 2013, and winning 2 gold awards at the 2017 Lagos Advertising and Ideas Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Kanso Ogbolu. Hi, Kanso. Are you here?
I'm here. Hi, peace. Hi, everyone. Fine, thank you. I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to introduce all the guests, and they will come right in and start asking or answering questions. I'll ask and you guys will answer. Okay, so next person I want to introduce here. His name is Jayaike Undu. Jayaike is 17. He designed and developed Nigeria's first online library and self-assessment tool for medical students in 2019. With over 250 course notes uploaded, the website comes in handy for Nigerian medical students. On the 2nd of February 2020, Jayaike received an email from Google that he has been selected as the grand prize winner for the Google coding competition, which made him the first Nigerian to ever win it and the youngest ever African coming in tied for the 5th position. He has learned over 18 programming languages, wow, including Python, C++, and JavaScript, and he's already a software trainer because he trains people also in software development. Please help me welcome Jayaike. Hey, where are you?
Good afternoon, I'm here. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Let me first like you a bit so everybody can see your face. Can you say
Pardon? Yes, I can.
I said, can you say hi again? Okay,
hi, everyone.
Awesome. You can hear me.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And then finally, I'm going to introduce someone else and let me play a quick video. Coincidentally, we have 2 animators in the house today. And just one more. Just one more. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that we know who I'm about to introduce. I'm going to introduce now Damilola. She's the founder, the CEO, and creative director of Smith, Nigerian's foremost animation studio. At Smith, she leads a team of artists and animators who create 3D computer animation, 3D content production, motion graphics, and visual effects. She was recently nominated as the juror for the prestigious Emmy Awards 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me say hi to Damilola. Hi, Dami.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so Dami, we're going to start from you. First of all, I want you to just tell us your story. Tell us how you started and how it has been so far.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I'm always very passionate to talk to young people about the opportunities in technology and creative industry. So I'll jump straight into my story. I've always been fascinated by technology as a child. I played a lot of video games as a child. In fact, I remember very clearly that as a child, I always said I wanted to be a gamer, even though many people around didn't understand. Even I myself didn't understand what it meant to be, a game programmer. But it wasn't until my I think SS2 there about where I saw my first Pixar movie, Toy Story, and I was just fascinated. I think as I saw the name scrolling past, it just clicked to me that people actually did this for a living, and I just said, this is what I wanted to do, and that started the journey really into animation. I remember, when my when my JAM came out, I wanted to go to a school that had computer animation as a degree, but sadly, it wasn't studied in Nigeria, even till today. So sad. But I decided to study computer science. And from there, I was able to start my journey of self-learning and self-discovery to be able to find my way into the career I have today. It's been an amazing journey, lots of ups and downs, lots of learnings over the years, but it's been a great opportunity so far. I think over the years, we've been able to achieve a lot. We started almost 10 years ago, so that was 2010. So this year we make 10 years that Smith has been running, and it's been a great experience so far. Many highs that we've had.
I don't. Yeah.
You have.
Well,
What's happened? How come you're packing it away?
I don't understand you. That's
No.
In the background.
Hello. Okay.
Hi, Dami. Yes, sorry, I lost you for a bit.
Okay. So I think over the years, primarily we had focused more on on adverts for brands because that was what, was available at the time. So we did quite a number of that when we first started. But again, my passion really has always been wanting to tell our own stories to kids and seeing how we can, particularly now, I think it's very apt for us to see what the benefits of ensuring that there's representation and diversity in content. My son is downstairs now watching Nickelodeon Junior, and all the cartoons he's watching don't look like him. So I think it's imperative how we can, change that and see how we can bring this kind of content that truly represents us. And as Africans, particularly as Nigerians, we have a lot of stories to tell from our folklores, almost every single culture, over 250 different ethnic groups. We have so many, I think there's no shortage of stories. So it's just about how can we bring it to this form of, this new digital form of animation. And that's what we're working on. We currently have our first TV series that we're working on. It's been a long journey to produce that. And that was the first clip you showed called Maker Boats. So 2 years ago, we made that decision that, okay, we're just going to go in. We've been complaining about this over the years, no funding, no this, no that. Let's just go in. And the journey of Maker Boat has been amazing. The trajectory has been amazing. First of all, we were invited to Annecy. Annecy is the largest animation festival in the world. And we had the opportunity to pitch our business, on a global stage. And the reception from that has been amazing. We're currently now in talks with one of the biggest French producers now to be able to bring that content to life. And it's been an amazing journey so far. I can't really, it's been great. Even with the Emmys as well too, these are some of the opportunities we've been able to be able to say, let's step out and just, go out and see what is out there and see how we can actually bring some of this content, to life. I'll be stopping there.
Amazing. That is such an inspiring story. When I first heard that, you've been doing this for 10 years, I'm sure that when you started, you're probably one of the few people who were really into animation then. And to be able to sustain it for this long and be doing this amount of work now, Emmy is not a small feat at all. So it's very inspiring and well done. Thanks for sharing your story. Jayaike, so I would like you to also share your story. I know you're really young, so I want to know how early you started and how was it like and what really prompted you to start and, because the journey so far.
Good afternoon. Okay, so always from when I was younger, I was always interested in engineering. I can remember getting paper and I'll just be drawing lines around the paper just to symbolize wires. So I was always interested in building things, both software and hardware interrelated. So back in 2016, during my grandma's birthday, I was with my cousins and my siblings, and my mom just suggested it to us that why don't we learn to code? So from there, I picked up my phone. As a matter of fact, I have the phone here. It's not my current phone. It's very small, about the size of, I have small hands, by the way, and it's smaller than my hands. So I started with my phone, and typically when you want to learn coding, you wouldn't use a phone, you'd use a laptop.
Exactly.
But I didn't let that stop me because of the passion, and I was always very interested in, and that's something that people should know. If it's something you're passionate about, then you're definitely going to want to do it, and you won't mind taking risks, especially if it's something that you really, really want to do. And when I was younger, I always thought that I would have to wait till I get into university till I start coding. So I did some research. I went onto Play Store and I looked for apps that will allow me learn to code and also build apps right from my phone. So I eventually found an app, DroidScript, but then there was another challenge, which is the fact that I don't know how to code. And I wasn't really into YouTube at that time, so I didn't check for tutorials on YouTube. I didn't look for any articles online. I just picked up the app, and then they have some examples inside the app. So I looked through those examples and I kept working through those examples. And then eventually I was able to understand the basic architecture of the app and how I can make my own apps through my phone. And I was 13 at the time. I was in gestury, preparing for my junior Yaike. And another challenge is the fact that I was a boarding student, so I could only code when I come back on holidays. So that means it's possible that I would go to school and then I would forget everything I had learned. And then when I come back, I would have to learn it all over again. So instead, what I did was when I go to school, I'll get paper and I'll write my code on the paper so I can still be revising what I've done when I was at home. And the thing with code, you shouldn't really take it as a school subject or something like that. Because if you try and cram code, you're not going to get anywhere because it requires you understand what you're doing. So that's how I started coding. And then I made my first 2 apps. I left them on the Play Store specifically so that I can remember where I started and how far I've come. So when I compare those apps that I made 4 years ago to my current apps, I'm like, wow, did I make these? These are terrible. And then the ones I have now are much more advanced. And I do not only apps, I do websites, I do things, I do as much as I can in coding. And that's why I learned the programming languages and the frameworks. Because whenever you want to, let's say you want to make an app, I started off with apps. So I learned a programming language. Then when I wanted to start making website, I had to learn another programming language. So it kept going like that. And then that's how I accumulated the programming languages. And as a matter of fact, it's not 18 programming languages, it's 18 programming languages, libraries, and frameworks inclusive, not just programming languages. So that's how I started. And as I mentioned, it was on my small phone. This phone is not like, it's not like an iPhone. It's not a very good phone. It's just got like 512 megabytes of RAM and 2 gigs of storage. So when I look back now, I'm like, how did I even do this? But I always remember that's because of the passion. And then I was always interested in things, competitions, anything that I could do to get myself into the technology world, into the developer cycle. So I saw a competition, Google Coding. It's for developers all around the world, ages 13 to 17. So at that time I was 16. So I checked it out, and then the first time I went for it, that was back in 2016. I found the competition very late, which was like 2 days to the ending. So I was like, okay, fine, I will try. So I completed 3 tasks. I won a t-shirt. The competition is 1 month, by the way. So I joined like 2 days to the end. So I won a t-shirt, and I was like, okay, fine. When next year, when they hold the competition, I am going to compete again. So the next year, they held the competition while I was still in school. So I graduated last year with 7 A's in my senior Yaike. And then in December, when the competition started, I then decided to compete. And then the first thing I noticed was the organization I was working with, I only knew one of the programming languages they were using. So they were using 2. So I had to learn it as I was going. And then I decided that I would just keep going. And my brother encouraged me because I didn't know how to test. I didn't know how to do any of those stuff. And then he encouraged me I should just learn. I should just keep going. So then like 15 days into the competition, I noticed that I was leading. And then I continued that way. And then later on in the competition, I had finished all the tasks that we had to do. So it was just one more task, and all of us in the competition were all avoiding the task because it was very, very difficult. And then I stayed up all night and I did the task. Then just 2 hours later, I noticed that someone had plagiarized my work. He had just copied my code and pasted it. So he also completed the task. So our mentors and the people in charge, they noticed that, okay, he has just copied my code, and then they disqualified him from the competition. And then a month later, they announced the winners, and I was among the winners. So Google, the prizes for the competition is a fully paid trip to San Francisco, Google's headquarters. Of course, we couldn't do that because of the coronavirus pandemic. So they monetized our prizes. They made up for it anyway. And then some other gifts. And then some other gifts, I can share my screen to show you the trophy.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's clear. Okay, so.
It is.
So this is the trophy over here that they gave us. They gave us other things. They gave us the duffel bag, t-shirts, and then just the latest merchandise and stuff like that. So at the competition, I became the first Nigerian to ever win it, since the competition started 10 years ago. It started 10 years ago. And then there had only been 4 Africans prior to this one to win the competition. So in this one, I came tied 5th as the 5th African to win it. And then that's where I've been since, and I'm going further into programming, artificial intelligence, and deeper topics. I do teach programming on YouTube, so anybody who's interested, I can definitely teach them.
Okay.
And then also on my Instagram and things like that, I just post things on programming as a whole.
That's really amazing. I am so inspired. I'm not sure that at your age I knew what I was going to do. So this is like really inspiring for me. So you say you're a full stack developer, right? Meaning that you do
Yes.
mobile development, front end development, back end, or what does a full stack developer? What does it entail? Just briefly.
A full stack developer is someone who can handle the front end, and that's the front end is just basically whatever you see in your browser, the app. Whenever you press the login button, you just see a loading sign, and then you just see if your details are correct, you get to enter the app, or you get to enter your home version of the website. So while all of that is processing and it's checking your details, that's called the back end. So someone who can make the user interface and also program the back end is a full stack developer.
Amazing. Are you in university now?
No, I have not taken a single class in university. I am currently in my gap year. I graduated last year.
Okay.
I graduated last year. I took my SAT. I took my SAT in October last year, so I am currently in my gap year.
Right. I assume that when you decide to go study, you're going to do computer engineering or computer science or something related.
Computer science, and then eventually double major in robotics. As I mentioned earlier, I want to do both.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Jayaike, for sharing your story. I am super inspired. Thanks a lot. I'll come back to you. I have more questions for you, but let me allow Kanso to tell us his own story too.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kanso. First and foremost, thank you for having me. So my story. I started with architecture. I studied architecture at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana. And that wasn't what I wanted to study. I wanted to be an artist. Yeah, so like Dami and like a lot of animators today, we all grew up watching a lot of cartoons, and we always wondered how we could create these things. Because I mean, yeah, it's one thing to watch them, but I have my own story. I want people to, whatever is going on in my head, I need to express it. So we started exploring, with various software, and I needed to be an artist, but my dad was like, artists don't make money. And so I was like, fine, I will study architecture, which is basically the next best thing. Luckily for me, I went to a school that allowed you express yourself when it, came to the course. They didn't see architecture as just, anything boxy and whatever. They allowed you express it with form and function. They allowed you draw. So I could express myself with all the, artistic things that were going on in my head. And for a course that I wasn't really sure I wanted to study, I did pretty well. I graduated with the second class upper, and I thought I was going to be, the architect of our time. Yeah, that was the intention. So I came out of school and I practiced for 2 years, NYC and another year. And I was supposed to go do my master's in Spain. All of this while I had already sort of, my animation was now a hobby, and I was applying it to architecture because I needed to do walkthroughs. I needed to, make one man walk into a door, all those interior design things that spice things up. So that's where it was mainly 3D animation, and that's all I knew. And I wasn't telling my stories, but at least I was learning the thing anyway. Long story short, Spain didn't work out. I think God was trying to tell me, nope, no architecture for you. So I fought God because I really wanted to to study it. I needed to, my name needed to be on every building in VI, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. And so I started OBK Studios, and I started really small, and animation just died completely. And I started with graphic design and, one banner here, one logo here, and all of that. And then I got a call from someone who, long and short of it, wanted me to come into advertising. I'd already, done one or two things that were quite impressive online, but not enough to put me on any map.
Right.
Yeah, so I went into advertising. I showed my portfolio. There were one or two animations here and there of things I just, thought were amazing at the time, but I was doing it for my pockets, for myself. Anybody sees me and can give me work here. And then I didn't want to enter advertising because I didn't want to work for the man. At that point, I thought, I'm doing well. I've arrived with my 5,000 naira logo here and there. I'm doing well. Don't worry. Leave me alone. But again, I was wrong, and so I said I was going to go into advertising and work for Noah's Ark Communications for 1 year. And after 1 year, I'd go out to go and express myself. So 1 year was my plan. Let me just help them. 1 year turned to 2 years, 2 years turned to 3, 3 turned to 5. And in those 5 years, I grew. I grew so fast and so well. The animations I had been ignoring, I was able to express myself, and work for various brands. Friesland Campina, makers of Peak and 3 Crowns Milk, Go TV, Airtel, just a lot of brands. And then the animation just kept coming. I was just learning new things, just doing stuff. Within that period, because like Dami, felt the need to still tell, her own story, I developed a series called FTFO. For parents and young adults in the house, I cannot say what FTFO means. Sorry, I cannot say what FTFO means because, but basically it's a horror series for adults. But it's also animated. Yeah. So I felt like I needed to tell. We have a lot of horror stories in the country, and I felt I needed to tell these stories. We grew up with these stories, from Bush Babies to Nneka the Pretty Serpent to Madame Koi Koi and all of that. I felt the need to express myself because I love the genre horror, and I didn't have the budget to make full-length movies and all of that. So I decided, since I now know how to animate properly, let me find a way to express things via FTFO. FTFO has gone on to 4 seasons rather now. We are about to make the 5th one. 4 seasons with over 40 episodes, with over 25 plus comics. And it has been screened in various countries all over the world. Brazil, London, Spain, Ghana, and it has won several awards. In 2018, I decided to leave advertising and set up OBK Studios fully, finally, because I had been doing it on the side. And within 2 years, I have worked with various brands like, again, Peak and 3 Crowns Milk, DSTV, Big Brother, Go TV, ULesson, OVH Energy, just to mention a few. So yeah, that has been the summary of my journey, basically.
Amazing. That was really good. I mean, I followed you for a very long time. While you were still in Noah's Ark, so just kind of like it's all coming together, me sort of like knowing what the story is now.
Sorry, please, hi. Sorry, can I quickly go back and come back in? My audio is scrambled, so I can't hear you.
Okay, that's fine. That works.
Thank you.
All right. So while Kanso is going to come back in, let me go back to Dami. So Dami, I mean, they're setting. First of all, question I ask is what has it been like running Smith for 10 years, right? What has encouraged you? What has kept you going? Especially because when you started, you were not getting Emmy awards then or any Emmy nominations as a then. So what was it like just doing it when it wasn't popular? Maybe there wasn't a lot of money like it is now. And what really kept you going so far?
Okay, so thank you again. I think the last 10 years, if I say it hasn't been challenging, I definitely would be lying. It's been one level of challenge after another. I think when we first started, it was more of me convincing, my parents that this was a chosen career that I wanted to go in head on. And immediately after my NYC, I registered the business and then started immediately. I had saved up my entire.
You didn't work for anybody
except for my NYC. So during my NYC year, I was fortunate. I was working in CBN, so my salary was decent enough to cover my expenses. I was saving in Abuja, and then I was saving all my alawi. And it's not what it is now, because I heard people are balling now in NYC. It wasn't what it is, 10 years ago. But I was saving all that, and at the end, I was able to use my savings to register the business, get a brand new system, and I came back to Lagos and said I wanted to do animation. So again, back then, I remember going into offices like advert agencies, like, the ones that Kanso, worked with. And they'll look at me as this tiny, small girl, because I don't look, the way I look now is not how I looked 10 years ago. I was much slimmer and more tinier. And then people just found it very hard to believe that, one, this could be done in Nigeria first, because back prior to that time, majority of the animation content was done in South Africa and in some other countries, and that happened, for a very long while. While I was in the industry, almost 5-6 years before that trend finally changed. So quite a number of people did just believe this young girl, number one, can actually do this and all that. So it was a lot to be able to convince people that this is something that can be done first in Nigeria, can be done well, and we can actually also handle the project. There were several challenges. Animation, I think going in, I didn't realize how capital intensive animation was. It was more of a passion, like I want to make my own cartoons, end of story, and I want to go in. So on getting in, you now realize, oh wow, the softwares are expensive, the hardwares are expensive, you need a lot of funding to be able to put this together and put this together well. I think very early on, we got really creative when it came to funding. We were able to access quite a number of grants from UWIN by the Goodluck Jonathan administration, so we're able to get about almost 10 million naira for that. And that was really instrumental for us to get in some of the systems that we still have to today, our tablets, Wacom, all that hardware that you require for you to be able to put the studio together and ensure that you're able to have an effective pipeline. We also got a US government grant as well, $25,000 in 2015. So some of those ways, because again, when it comes to animation, because it's still a relatively new field, even till now, it's very hard for you to convince investors that this is what you're doing and this is how you can put in money and this is where the returns are. Even till now, we're still finding that battle to be able to convince investors as regards animation in Nigeria. So we had to be creative as regards funding. So there's been several challenges over the years. Also, the fact that skill is not relatively available in the country. So there are no schools turning out animators. So everyone is self-taught. I remember my own, stories, from secondary and university, whereby I was going to cyber cafes in the nights, because nights were the best times to download tutorials and all that online. And my mom was always like, what are you always doing going out in the night? You're a girl, blah, 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 story, and all that. But it was because I was passionate about wanting to learn this and making this an actual career. So for us, we had to think about how can we make skill readily available? How can we democratize it so that, quite a number of people can have this, access to this knowledge as well. So we do trainings here and there over the years. Again, but we're still looking at an industry to see how we can still do this on a larger scale. So there's been a lot of talks in the industry. We now have an association, Animation Nigeria, to see how we can really get this knowledge, out there so that quite a number of people want to learn. but it's that structure to be able to provide that knowledge for them. So it's one challenge, after the other, and just kind of find, ways to be able to overcome them. Even currently now, where we are, where we're trying to produce content, and producing content is not easy. I applaud Kanso for having over, this fifth season. That's not easy. Producing that kind of content. So we make about now, we're doing 11 minutes, 52 episodes.
Wow.
And the budget is over €1 million euros currently. That's where the budget sits. That's a lot of money to be able to find. And we've been creative around that, because I think, one word for us, throughout our journey has always been, how can we creatively, access whatever funding that we require. And now, we've not gotten the money yet, but at least we're now on the path to get potential investors, particularly the partners that we mentioned from France. So we're really excited about the journey that we're currently on, particularly when it comes to content, because that's really where my passion really lies. Particularly now that I now have a child, I'm very passionate about telling children's stories, family stories, to kids. That genre for many years, even in Nigeria, even in Nollywood, has been completely ignored. No one talks about, entertainment for children in any shape or form. And I feel like there's an opportunity there for us to be able to tell creative stories to children about our culture, about our heritage, about our stories, just even fun stories that don't even have anything to correlation to do with our culture, but they can reflect and see characters that look like them, in the shows that they watch, and they're engaged, they're entertained as well. So I guess over the years, there's still challenges even now with COVID and all that, and it's always finding, new ways to be able to, address each and every one of them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And just still in talking about challenges, I would like to ask Jayaike a question. So I know that you mentioned when you were talking about your story that your mom was the one who talked to you about or encouraged or sort of brought up the idea of learning coding. But how's it been like, right? Have you, aside the not having a laptop, have you faced any other challenges in the last 6 years or 5 years of learning coding? And what do you have to say to, parents who their kids are sort of like interested in something like this, but they're not seeing the light, they're not seeing that it could be profitable or it could be something sustainable for them? And what would you have to say to that too? Sort of like address your own challenges, and then there's some parents in the house. So for them who have kids like you that want to go into tech or animation, coming from a kid still, what would you like to say to them?
Okay, thank you. So aside from not having a laptop, the initial stages of learning to code require a reasonable amount of dedication for your time. So initially, if you would have spent maybe just an hour coding a day, you might have to bump that up to more time, 5 hours a day. People think that's part of the reason why people think programmers are these people that stay up all night and they're just clicking on their keyboards, but that's not actually the fact. The truth of the matter is, at the initial stage is when you have to dedicate your time and when you have to say, yes, I'm going to do this and I need to focus on it. But after you've learned your first programming language, your first 2 programming languages, it's going to be easier and it's going to get better. And it's not even just about the programming languages. There are other things involved. So those were my challenges, just a matter of the time dedication. So, and as for for parents that don't see the light in coding or in programming, programming is the future. Almost everything we touch has coding. Even our microwaves. Our microwaves are embedded systems of code. So the chips, everything, your phone, everything you touch on your phone is software. Even the hardware. People think that you don't even have to go to school to be a very, very good programmer. While that is true, it is still a good thing to go to school to learn programming or to learn computer science, because it's not just the coding aspect of it. And as I mentioned earlier, drone programming, our drones, the way they move, it's programming. Even in our cars, we have programming. Now we have, with the events of electrical cars, everything is going digital. And especially in COVID times, we're using Zoom. This is software. Somebody built this or people built this. So this is all software, and programming is the future. Software is the future, technology is the future, and I think people should definitely invest in that.
Amazing. One more question for you, just before I go back to Dami, is, so you say that you train people, right? You now train software development. Do you face any challenges given that you're young? So like, do you train the kids that you train, or do you train youth? But has the reception been like?
Oh, I train people of any age as far as you approach me. In the developer world, people aren't really interested in your age. They're interested in the knowledge because they want to learn to code, regardless of how they want to learn. What they want to know is they want to code. Doesn't really matter who's teaching them. So the only thing I would say is if you are still a minor, when dealing with the clients, that's when you're trying to sort out things like that. Seek guidance from your parents so they can guide you, because they have more experience in that aspect. But as for the teaching, it's fine. You can just, like, I make the videos and I send them to him, and then he's like, okay, okay, I like this. I didn't understand this. Can you explain this a bit more? Like, I don't think I've taught anybody programming, anybody that is seriously younger than me, aside from the teaching I did at Standard Various School. Most people are older than me and significantly older than me, but they don't have a problem with it. So with everything being virtual and stuff like that, it's much easier.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So Dami, I'll ask you again because Kanso is not back, right? From an employer's point of view, because now you have a training school, you're training people how to do animation, you hire people for your company. So from an employer's point of view, aside having the technical skill, right? What other skills do you think do employers look out for when they want to hire someone for this kind of job?
Animation is still relatively, even though I've been here 10 years, it's still relatively new in terms of skill. We hardly ever put out an advert saying, oh, we need X amount of people, X 10 animators. Majority of the animators we have on staff, we have over 10 people on staff now, where they came to us as interns, and then, from there, gradually moved into paid employment. But I think for over the years, I've worked with so many people over the years. I think the most important skill, even beyond, pure talent, pure genius, is actually discipline. Because animation, just like coding as well, takes a lot of time. It requires you sitting at the system for several hours. We watch a 1 hour, animated movie by Pixar, and it's over 2,000, animators working on that for 3 years. So that's dedication, that's, state power, that's discipline. So, and one of the challenges we have with the industry currently is that majority of the people who want to come into the industry, like myself, don't have formal work experience. So because they don't have that, grooming, they haven't been to, like the Accenture and the likes. Many times they lack what I would call, work ethic. So these are things that you look out for, that, oh, this person understands, oh, this is the time I need to resume, these are the, hours I need to put in, these are the discipline. So I think it's still wrapped up around discipline. That's where I feel like, because again, as artists, creative people they're a funny creature, they're a funny breed. So because they are, it's very important that you're able to put together that structure to ensure that you're able to do productive work. So if you have somebody who is creative and at the same time disciplined, the sky is the limit essentially. So these are some of the skills we look for, interpersonal, skills.
So are you here, Kanso? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. So I have two questions for you. The first one is, so you mentioned that you said you went to spend 1 year at Noazak, and then it became 2, 3, and ended up becoming 5, right? So what exactly happened? What was the final trigger for you to be a guy? And then the second question is, people who want to have possibilities available.
So do you repeat the second question?
Okay, so the second question is, for people who want to become an animator like you, what are the opportunities available? What is the career trajectory like for an animator?
Okay, so the first question, I think it was just a function of time. When it's time, you just decide. It was scary because I was I was doing pretty well. I was rising, and you have a secure job, a well-paying job. Everything is good. You know that 24th of every month you've gotten your salary. There's no issue. So I was comfortable, but I also have a problem with being comfortable. I personally think that when you're comfortable, there's just an issue because you can get very comfortable and decide, well, I've arrived, so I don't need to chase anything. And I'm not like that. I like trying out new things. I like chasing new stuff. I like learning. I like unlearning and relearning. So then I realized that at Noah's Ark had arrived, and I think it just became time to just go. It was scary, but I think I had saved enough money such that if anything had happened, I can soak Gary for at least 2 years, no problem. So I had a good safety net, and then just decided, yeah, I'm going to go out and just try stuff. Luckily, I did not even, I'm not going to lie, I didn't suffer for a week. Immediately I go, people basically were waiting for me to, finally, he's out. Let's throw this work at him. And they just kept throwing it, and they are still throwing it till today. So I'm thankful. So if anyone wants to be an animator, the trajectory, the path. I'm not going to lie. I think like Dami said, the only thing you need is dedication. That is pretty much the only thing. You're not going to enter animation and, well, some people do. Some people just enter and they've gotten it already. They're like Jayaike now. Just everything is just pa 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 pa, and they've gotten it already. Sharp. But some people will struggle, and in that struggle, you need to be dedicated, because animation in Nigeria is still young, and the possibilities, the opportunities are endless. They're painfully endless. They're endless. Animation is everywhere. Right now, it's playing. All my work is playing at the back of my screen. When you pick up your phone, you have animation in the UI. You have animation on billboards. You have animation when you're watching your favorite TV station. Before you enter any show, there's a montage, reminding you that you're watching CNN. It's an animation. It's animation everywhere. Everywhere you go. So in Nigeria, we're not even scratching the surface, because they're not enough. It's nobody doing it. There's not a lot of people to do it. Like Dami said, if we had a university, for instance, now that you could get a proper degree, I'm telling you, it will be mind-blowingly crazy. It will be we can't contain it. You have various TV shows, various programs, various people creating user experiences for various gadgets and devices, because you can just put an animation here. So if you want to start, I'll employ everybody to start. If you're interested, the only thing you just need is the will to continue, because it is not easy, but it's very interesting, because essentially what you are doing is you are playing a mini god. You are bringing still images to life. You are acting life, and bringing stuff to life is fun. That drawing of a man that was just like this, you are now making him run, dance. It's exciting. You understand? Seeing your stuff on TV, where millions of people are watching as well, it's beautiful. You understand? And more people will give you more work for it. So the end game, the payoff is amazing. But the journey can be very stressful. All you need is the will to continue.
Amazing. I low-key want to go and learn animation right now. Because when you said painfully, I was like, I'm not sure I'm not the wrong career path. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So Dami, I have one last question for you, and then I would allow the audience to ask questions. Hey everybody, if you have any questions for Kanso, for Dami, or for Jayaike, please just type it here and I'll ask them in a minute. Okay, so Dami, my last question to you is particularly for young girls, right? What is your advice for young girls out there who have career interest in the creative and tech industry? Not necessarily just animation, but just the creative and or tech industry, young girls.
Well, I'll say go for it. If you have any passion in technology or animation, just go for it. Gender should never, be an issue as to why. I always get that question a lot because I'm a woman in tech, a woman in animation. They say, as a woman, I'm like, I never sit down one day and say, oh, damn me, as a woman, as a female animator, my gender never comes to my mind when it comes to what I'm passionate about, what I want to do. I always encourage girls, don't let anyone ever discourage you. I know definitely from when I was in sciences, we're like 4 or 5 girls. In computer science, we're like 6, 7 girls in the class. We're always the minority. But notwithstanding, you sit down and say, this is what I want to achieve. These are my passions. These are my goals. And just go for it and never allow anyone make your gender an issue or a reason why you shouldn't. And after a while, people just don't see it because you don't see it yourself as an obstacle and other people don't see it. You just keep, bulldozing through obstacles and whatever it is that comes your way. So just, again, focus on your goals, your dreams.
Just do it.
Have mentors who can guide you through that journey. And that's what you should never think about your gender ever.
See, there was no better way you could have answered this question. There's no better way you could have answered this question. Really, don't ever think about gender, just do it, right? If you stand out, I said, even when we were asking the same question, I say that if you are very good at what you do, regardless of how old you are or what gender you are, people will listen to you and people will give you what you deserve. It's making sure that you groom yourself up to that point that people can then see you and see you for what you know and what you can do as against seeing the physical attributes. So thank you so much. That was a brilliant answer. Kanso, my last question for you before I take the audience question is for parents, because you said that you always wanted to be an artist, but your popsi was like, see, it's not me that you're not come and disgrace in this life, go study architecture. So for parents who are still struggling, because here we're having this conversation and, parents are beginning to see that, there's a lot of opportunities in tech, in creative industry, but they're still like, but the medicine, the engineering that we know, it has always been there. What would you say to them? Because we have some of these parents here.
Okay, so they are right. The engineering that we know has always been there and it will forever be there. The architecture we know, the law, the medicine, pharmacy, nursing, all those professions will always be there and they'll always be needed. But the world has changed. 2020 has proven to us, we thought that maybe the evolution of the entire planet will gradually climb, but 2020 just changed it for everybody completely. We are right here. Typically, we would have been in Muson Center or some stage. There'll be a panel, we'll all be here with microphones. We are in our homes with devices looking at each other via screens. Everything has changed. A bunch of people sat down to create this software that we are using and are cashing out like crazy. The emails, the Google Meets, Zoom, Yahoo Mail, some people sat down to code these things and are cashing out.
They're cashing out.
Netflix, ISPs, this pandemic, they have been the biggest. Netflix, people are sitting down in their houses. We are sitting down because you don't want your child's attention span to, because you want to make sure that, your child sits down in one place while you do your Zoom meeting. You put an animation on Netflix. Who created the animation? It's an adult. It is no, it's not a child that created it. It is an adult. Several adults sat down to create the animation that you are feeding to your child. So everything has changed, at this point, and it is time for parents to realize that if your child tells you, Dad, I want to be an artist, the best thing you can do for that child is to buy all of what that child will need to become the greatest artist ever. Dad, I want to be an animator and illustrator. Do your research, find out the greatest people in Japan, in Kenya, South Africa, in Nigeria. All these people, how are they cashing out? I get it. You know, I understand parents. I really want my child to make all of that money and build all the houses and drive all the fine cars. I get it. And in these professions, you can do that. The people that created South Park, Family Guy, The Simpsons, you know, go and check out the net worth of The Simpsons. I think Family Guy, for instance, now, one episode is $4 million to create. $4 million to create one episode of Family Guy. Animators are sitting down there in some country drawing these things, and we watch it, and that's the 30 minutes we watched it. But they are paying, what do you call it, $4 million per episode. So everything has changed. Tech is the new. Well, it's not the new because it has always been there.
It's been there.
Very honest. But we need more people on board, especially in Africa, because everybody's still going the traditional way. And you know, when I've noticed that when you pioneer things around the world, you make bank. It's just what it is. When you're the first to do something and you believe in that thing, trust me, at some point in time, recognition will come. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Jayaike, so you said learning with mobile apps. Can you share with us some of the names of the apps that you used so that the kids here can go and download these apps and the parents here can go and, you know, give their kids these apps to start using?
Okay, so to build the apps, I used an app called Droid Scripts. I'll type it and leave it in the chat. Droid Scripts, and I use
Damilola and Kanso, you can also just type for us the names of the apps or softwares that you use while Jayaike is talking.
Okay, so Droid Script to build the apps, and then to learn, there's an app called Solo Learn. That's for iOS and Android. So those are I use Solo Learn towards the end, but at the very beginning it was Droid Script that I used.
Amazing, amazing. Dami, do you want to share any of the apps or any softwares or places where people can learn how to do animation?
Okay. So for 3D animation, I started with Max, then moved to Maya, and currently the studio is moving to a Blender platform. Blender is free, fantastically. So anyone here who wants to learn 3D animation or even 2D, because they do have a 2D tool as well, I think Blender will be the best place for you to start, and then you can always move to other. Again, with animation, it's about you learning the basics, the principles of animation and design, and then you can always easily move from application to application. But starting with Blender will be a good place since it's free. And if you want to do 2D, I think I'll leave that with Kanso. So Kanso can talk about it.
Kanso said the same thing. He said Blender, 3D Max, and Maya.
For 2D, what would you suggest?
So for 2D, he said Adobe Illustrator and After
Effects. So we have Adobe Animate, Adobe Illustrator, and After Effects, the combination of these two.
Find out.
So if you learn all these three, you are well on your way to creating. There's also Toon Boom. I'll write that down in the or Dami can write that for 2D animation. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And my final question, I don't think I have any questions here. For Jayaike, someone said, so when you're talking about the Google Code in competition, somebody plagiarized your work, right? So are there any punitive measures for coding theft in the emerging industry? At least, how do you protect your code?
There are, aside from competitions, we have something called open source, which means free code. So although the code is free, you are not permitted to steal someone else's code. So we have two licenses, the MIT license and the Apache licenses. They differ in little ways, but the bottom line is that whenever you are distributing the code or you want to use the code, you have to give attribution or you have to include the license. So if you don't include the license, of course, your code will be swept off the repository.
Amazing. Thank
So
you
there
so
are
much.
measures.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And that's all the questions that we have, all the questions I have. I think you guys have done a fantastic job in sharing your stories. I think you guys also answered the questions brilliantly. I myself was super inspired, right? I'm sort of like confused now. Do I leave digital marketing and go to programming or animation, or just, add the skills and just go learn it? But your stories are super inspiring. So thank you a lot for sharing. I will just call Mrs. Modupe now to give her final words before we say our goodbyes.
Good afternoon again. I think it has been an afternoon well spent. I have learned a lot, and I hope everyone has too. The Y series continues. This time next month, we will have another group of panelists, still talking tech, but from different angles. So if you're here today and you found your time spent valuably, please tell other people about it. And to my panelists, thank you so much. I'll give you an A+. You really have delivered on the assignment. And I believe that everybody who is here is leaving here inspired. I'm happy we recorded it because Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I think we will actually take segments of it and actually just publish them on our YouTube page so that people can actually see what it's all about. But I think that this has been really, really educative. For somebody who studied art, because I studied art in school myself, I wish I was in this generation because I think I could have done a lot more with all the animation.
It's never too late, Mom. It's never too late.
Okay, I hear you. Never too late. I'll take you on that. But thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this maiden edition. It's unfortunate that the Honorable Commissioner couldn't make it in, but she did say they were bereaved this morning and she was trying to make her way back home from the where she had gone to. But obviously, I don't think she made it back on time. So when we'll have the second one, we certainly will have her come by to give a few words at that time. Peace, thank you. You've been amazing. To my Y4Y team, well done. To everyone in the audience, thank you so much for giving us your time. I hope you're going away inspired. If there are educators there, go and spread the message to your children. Parents, please find the gift and let them try with the gift. And to everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening and have a blessed week ahead. Thank you all so much. The Y4Y series continues in the month of September, and we will be inviting you again. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, everybody. You can leave now.
Thank you.
We'll see you again another time in September, precisely. Thank you so much for joining. Please follow us on social media. I think it's Y4Y series on social media. So please follow us. If you want to also share some of the things you learned here, you can tweet about it with the hashtag. You can tag Y4Y series on Instagram, on Facebook, and I think on YouTube also. But please make sure that we keep on the conversation. See you another time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, my panelists. Well done.
Thank you.